The air in the house always felt heavier than it should have, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath, waiting for the next inequality table clash. From the moment I could string words together, I learned two things: how to call out for my mother, and how to swallow my voice when it didn't suit the script. My name is Elena Harper, and this is the story of how I grew up not as a daughter, but as a ghost in my own familiar shadow cast by the radiant sun that was my older sister, Vanessa. Vanessa was 3 years older than me, but the gap might as well have been a lifetime. She was the firstborn, the cherished jewel my parents had waited years to hold after a string of miscarriages that left my mother, Diane, hollowed out, and my father, Richard, clinging to hope like a lifeline. When Vanessa arrived on a frigid December night, bundled in a blanket the color of snow, they called her their December star, a miracle sent to thaw the frost of their grief. I came along later, unannounced and unplanned, a quiet April rain that barely rippled their world. They didn't have a nickname for me. They didn't need one. Our house, a modest 2-story nestled in the sleepy suburbs of Illinois, was Vanessa's kingdom. The pale yellow walls of our shared bedroom? Her choice. The mint-flavored toothpaste that stung my tongue? Her preference. Even the radio stations blaring through the kitchen were tuned to her favorite pop songs, while my pleas for classical melodies were dismissed with a wave of my mother's hand. "Elena, don't be difficult," she'd say, her hazel eyes narrowing as if my very existence was an inconvenience. "Vanessa likes it this way." I tried to fit into their world. I really did. I swept the floors without being asked, aced my spelling tests, and kept my toys neatly stacked in the corner of the room we shared. But it was never enough. Vanessa could scribble a crooked heart on a napkin, and it'd be pinned to the fridge with a magnet, my mother cooing, "Look at our little artist." Meanwhile, my painstakingly crafted model of the solar system, complete with hand-painted planets, sat forgotten on my desk until I quietly threw it away. The favoritism wasn't subtle, but it wasn't always loud either. It was a quiet erosion, like water wearing down a stone. I remember my 8th birthday why not for the joy, but for the absence of it. My parents had promised me a small party. A chocolate cake, a few friends from school, maybe some balloons. I'd spent weeks dreaming about it, clutching the hope that this time, I'd be the one in the spotlight. The day arrived and there was a cake, rich, fudgy, and adorned with candles. But as I stepped into the backyard, my friends were gathered around Vanessa, singing happy birthday to her while she beamed in a pink dress I'd never seen before. My mother clapped along, her laughter bright and sharp. "It's just a little fun, Elena," she said when I tugged at her sleeve, my voice trembling. "Don't be selfish." My father handed Vanessa a gifted doll with golden curls while I stood by the fence, clutching a weed I'd picked from the grass, wondering why my day had been rewritten. That was the first time I understood my role. I was the understudy, the quiet backup to Vanessa's starring performance. It didn't matter that it was my birthday. The script had been flipped, and I was expected to nod along. I learned to bite my tongue, to let the bitterness sink into my bones where it couldn't be seen. But it festered there, growing with every slight, every lie, every moment my parents chose her over me. Vanessa wasn't just favored, she was weaponized. She wielded our parents' devotion like a blade, and I was her favorite target. When I was 6, she shattered a ceramic bowl in the dining room, chasing our tabby cat, Whiskers, with a wooden spoon. I was sitting cross-legged on the rug, piecing together a puzzle, when the crash echoed through the house. My mother stormed in, her face a storm cloud. Before I could open my mouth, Vanessa flung herself into Mom's arms, sobbing. "Elena threw it at me. She's mad because I wouldn't let her play with Whiskers." I shook my head, my small hands trembling, but the words wouldn't come. Mom's glare pinned me in place. "Are you jealous of your sister again, Elena? Why can't you just be kind?" I was sent to my room without dinner, while Vanessa got a bowl of strawberry ice cream and a lullaby. The truth didn't matter, Vanessa's word was gospel, and I was the heretic. As we grew older, her tactics sharpened. By the time I was 11, Vanessa had a posse of friends who orbited her like planets around a star. One humid summer day, she invited me to join them in the backyard for a game of Princess Tea Party. I was wary, Vanessa rarely included me, but the lure of belonging pulled me in. I dragged my favorite doll, a ragtag thing with a patched dress, and sat on the grass with them. 10 minutes later, the scissors came out. They hacked off my doll's yarn hair. giggling as Vanessa mocked my quiet voice. Oh, Elena, always so shy like a little mouse. I fled to my room, tears burning my cheeks, and when Mom asked why I was upset, Vanessa chimed in with a smirk. She's just too sensitive, Mom. I was trying to include her. Mom sighed, brushing my hair back with a weary hand. Elena, you need to toughen up. Vanessa's just playing. I stopped bringing my toys downstairs after that. But Vanessa's jealousy cut deeper when I found something she couldn't control: friendship. I wasn't like her, tall, with glossy chestnut hair and a laugh that turned heads. I was short, plain, with mousy brown curls and a wardrobe of hand-me-downs. But I listened. I cared. And in middle school, that earned me a tight-knit group of friends: Lila, Sam, and Jonah, who saw me for me, not as Vanessa's shadow. She noticed. At first, she pretended not to care. But I'd catch her watching me from across the cafeteria. Her lips pressed into a thin line as I laughed with my crew. Then the sabotage began. One fall afternoon when I was 13, I came home from school buzzing about a weekend hiking trip with my friends. I'd saved up for weeks to buy a new pair of boots, my first purchase with my own money from babysitting. That night, Vanessa slipped into our room while I was brushing my teeth. I returned to find my trip permission slip shredded on the floor, her standing over it with a smug grin. What's wrong with you? I shouted, my voice cracking. She shrugged, her eyes cold. You don't need friends, Elena. You have family. That's enough. I told Mom, expecting outrage, but she just rubbed her temples. Vanessa's having a hard time right now, Elena. You're younger, you need to be patient. I taped the form back together, but the damage was done. My friends went without me and I spent the weekend staring at the ceiling, wondering why my sister hated me so much. High school brought a flicker of freedom. Away from home I bloomed. I joined the debate team, volunteered at the library, and earned straight A's without breaking a sweat. My friends stuck by me, and for the first time I felt like I belonged somewhere. But Vanessa couldn't stand it. She'd whisper lies to our parents me friends were fake. I was arrogant. I yelled at people behind their backs. Mom would corner me in the kitchen, her voice soft but edged with doubt. Sweetie, Vanessa says you're changing. Are you being cruel to your friends? I'd deny it, my heart pounding, but the seed of suspicion was planted. Punishments followed: groundings, revoked PRIVY legis, while Vanessa smirked from the sidelines. Then came the boys. At 16 I met Caleb, a lanky kid from my history class with a goofy smile, and a love for old sci-fi MOES. We weren't dating, exactly, just friends who walked home together, sharing sodas and debating whether aliens could be friendly. Vanessa didn't like it. One Friday Mom burst into my room, her face flushed with fury. Are you chasing someone else's boyfriend, Elena? I blinked, stunned. What? Caleb's just my friend, she cut me off. Vanessa said he's been meeting her after school, flirting with her, and she turned him down for your sake. How could you be so reckless? It was absurd. Caleb barely knew Vanessa existed, but Mom didn't care. She believed the lie, and Caleb stopped talking to me after that, his eyes avoiding mine in the halls. I didn't fight it. I was used to losing. Senior year I hit a breaking point. I'd worked myself to the bone: 4.0 GPA, captain of the debate team, and a partial scholarship to the University of Michigan. The principal called my name at assembly, and the auditorium erupted in applause. I walked home that day with my acceptance letter clutched to my chest, daring to hope my parents would finally see me. But when I handed it to Mom, she barely glanced at it. That's nice, Elena, but we're stretched thin. Vanessa's in community college. No, it's expensive. Dad chimed in, his voice gruff. You can work part-time. You're tough enough. I swallowed the lump in my throat. What about Vanessa? Mom's eyes hardened. She's our priority. She's got big dreams. I nodded, folded the letter, and went upstairs. That night I applied for every full scholarship I could find, determined to claw my way out. A year later I did it. After months of late nights at the library, photographing SAT prep books with my cracked phone screen, and walking 2 miles to a barista job in the rain, I won a full ride to the University of Illinois. Tuition, housing, books all covered. I posted the news online, a photo of me with the letter and a caption. New beginnings earned through my own sweat. Thanks to my family for teaching me resilience. The dig was subtle but intentional. My Aunt Nora commented, So proud of you, Elena. You're a star. Mom saw ich had toe but she didn't say a word. The silence was louder than any rebuke. Then came the reckoning. My parents sat me down a week later, Vanessa lounging on the couch like a queen. Mom's voice was syrupy, calculated. We're thrilled about your scholarship, Elena, but Vanessa's struggling. Therapy, no job, she needs support. If you stay home before college, we'll need you law $400 a month for expenses. I stared at them. Vanessa lives here rent-free with a car you bought her and I have to pay? Dad's jaw tightened. She's sensitive. You're stronger. I laughed a harsh, brittle sound and pulled du law $400 from my zondis, slamming it on the table. Here's your rent. I'm out. 3 weeks later, I left with a suitcase, a backpack, and du law $1,500 to my name. No one waved goodbye. Mom texted once. You'll regret this. I didn't reply. College was hard, 3 jobs, late-night study sessions, ramen dinners, but it was mine. I majored in sociology, dreaming of a career helping kids like me, the overlooked ones. Vanessa, meanwhile, floundered at home, dropping out of her online graphic design course and posting vague Instagram captions about self-care. My parents still fawned over her, oblivious to the life I was building. Then I met Daniel. He was a grad student in my sociology seminar, tall, with sharp green eyes and a dry wit that cut through my defenses. We bonded over late-night coffee and debates about social justice, our connection growing quietly, steadily. He didn't care about Vanessa or my pa, saw me, Elena, and that was enough. 2 years later, on a crisp October evening, he proposed under a maple tree on campus, a simple silver ring glinting in his hand. I said yes before my breath caught up, not because I needed marriage but because I wanted a family that chose me. We planned a small Wadinga-wooded venue, close friends, a honeymoon in Ireland. But when Mom heard, she called, her voice dripping with false warmth. We'd love to help pay, Elena, as long as Vanessa gets her moment. She'll walk down the aisle first in a wedding dress. She's sacrificed so much. I nearly choked. You want my sister to play bride at my wedding? She didn't flinch. It's only fair. She's older, she deserves this. I hung up, my stomach churning, and told Daniel. He didn't hesitate. They're insane. Let's turn the tables. The plan was ruthless, brilliant. Daniel played the doting fiancé, VY citing my parents with a recorder hidden in his jacket. He nodded as they gushed about Vanessa's special day, her dress, her cake, her speech. We'll keep it from Elena, Mom whispered. She's too emotional. Daniel agreed, feeding their delusion while we booked a secret venue rustic barn an hour away and hired security with one rule. No Vanessa. We sent my family a fake time and location, ensuring they'd arrive too late. The wedding day dawned clear and cold. I wore a simple ivory gown, no frills, just me. As I stepped into the barn, my friends cheered, Daniel waiting at the altar with a grin. Outside, chaos unfolded. Vanessa arrived at the decoy site in a lavage white gown, my parents trailing her like courtiers. Security stopped them at the gate. Sorry, you're not on the list, the guard said, unmoved by Vanessa's screams. I'm the bride's sister. I'm supposed to go first, my mom shrieked. We paid for this. The guard shrugged. Wrong wedding. Inside, I walked the aisle alone, every step a declaration. Daniel took my hand, whispering, You're unstoppable. The ceremony was perfect, intimate, real. Afterward, friends showed me videos. Vanessa sobbing in the dirt, her dress ruined, my parents ranting about betrayal. Daniel stepped out, feigning shock. You thought I'd let Vanessa upstage my wife? Where's the proof? They had none, and the crowd turned on them, whispering, Who does that to their own daughter? We honeymooned in Ireland, the Green Hills a balm to my soul. My phone buzzed with furious texts from my family, but I ignored them. Daniel posted the recordings online, every word of their scheme exposed. Relatives rallied behind me, appalled. Vanessa's Instagram rants only dug her deeper. The comments brutal. This is unhinged. She faded into irrelevance, still levying at home, while I built a life of my own. Years later, as a counselor helping kids escape toxic families, I look back not with anger, but with clarity. I wasn't born to be Vanessa's shadow, I was born to rise above it. With Daniel, my friends, and the family I chose, I found freedom. And that, more than any revenge, is my triumph.